Right, so before the break, we just review how to isolate, right? Isolate the variable. We're gonna do the same thing for the next one. Question B, the variable we have here is a cosine x, right? However, the cosine x is inside the square. Isolate. Okay, we want to isolate cosine x. So what you can do is you think of it as cosine x, right? The square in the middle, right? In between cosine x, that what it actually means is a bracket, right? The whole thing squared minus 0.25 equals to 0, okay? So it's the same as having a square on the whole thing. So your goal is to do something, so then the cosine x is by itself, okay? Isolate the cosine x. So please try that by yourself first, okay? Once you isolated the cosine x, please raise your hand. We'll check the answer. So think about how can we get rid of the square, right? What should we do? So then cosine x is alone. All right, so Lily, what's your cosine x equal?
Cosine x equals to square root over 0.25.
Square root of 0.25. Okay, what is square root of 0.25 then?
It's 1 over 2.
Okay, so we can write it as equal to 1 over 2. Okay. Anyone else got something different or anything you want to add in? Angela, how about you?
I got the same thing.
Okay, and nothing else?
I got 0.5, but it equals 1 over 2.
Yeah, 0.5, same as 1 over 2. Okay. Anyone else have something else?
Jason,
Yes, Daniel.
I got cosine x equals plus and minus 1 over 2.
Thank you very much. Okay, this one very important. Okay, if you need to put on the square root by yourself, you need to add in plus minus. Otherwise, you lose half the answer. Okay, the reason why is the question says, for example, if you have a box, square equal to 25, right? 5 square can give you 25. -5 square can also be 25, right? Because negative times negative, right? So if you want to put a square root on by yourself, you need the plus minus at the front. So you won't miss two answers. Okay, this is just on the side. Okay. All right, so this one I'll just fill in the steps, right? So cosine square, okay, cosine x squared equals to 0.25, and then you square root on both sides. Okay, so now now the cosine x is isolated, but you have two parts. Okay, so since you have two parts, you can think of it as two questions. So split it. Okay, we're gonna split it in half. So one side you will find the angle for the positive half. The other one is cosine x equal to negative half. So that means you should end up with 4 answers. Okay, so start from there. You do the same 4 steps. Okay, step 1, check sign. Step 2, side ratio, right? Step 3, reference angle. Step 4, write out the angle, draw the angle in domain. Okay, same thing for the negative. Okay. So I'll let you carry out the left side, okay? The positive half. We'll check that first before you do the negative part. All right, so if you finish the left-hand side, cosine x equal to 1/2. Okay, you can raise your hand after you find the x for the left side. Start with check sign. Think about which quadrants. Cosine positive. And then step 2, you draw the picture, find out the sides. Step 4 is the tricky part because this time the domain is different. Okay, so think about what that means. Domain is negative pi to pi. Okay, so you can give it a try first. So you should have 2 answers coming out of it, okay, from the left side. Okay, Callum, can you tell us which quadrant are the angles?
Quadrants 2 and 3.
2 and 3. How come?
I was no quadrants. No, for the first one, quadrants 1 and 4,
Yeah,
and for the second one, 2 and 3.
That's right. Okay, so 2 and 3 for the cosine negative. For cosine positive should be quadrant 1 and 4. Okay, please just complete the left side first. Okay, we'll check the answers before you move on. So quadrant 1 and 4, 1 will be here, 4 will be down here. Fill in the sides. Adjacent over hypotenuse. Adjacent over hypotenuse. Reference angle. Okay, CZ, do you have the reference angle yet?
Pi over 3.
Yeah, very good. Okay, pi over 3. Okay, so we have root 3 should be the opposite side, right? Root 3 is the longer side. Longer side, then it will be the bigger reference angle. Okay, pi over 3. Please raise your hand if you have the x for the positive side. So negative pi to pi, okay? If you are confused about the domain, negative pi to pi, negative pi means negative 180, right? So that means you're looking for the angles going down. Okay, let me write it again. Right, negative pi. This is called negative pi. You turn clockwise, right? Because you want to go negative angle. So you're searching angle going clockwise up to negative pi. Until pi, right? Pi means you go counterclockwise. So you are looking for angle in this direction, going to pi and going to negative pi. Okay, so those angle will be within negative pi to pi. Okay, so please raise your hand if you have the answer on the left side. Okay, Philip, what's the first angle?
Pi over 3.
Over 3, very good. And the second one, Sophie?
5 pi over 3.
5 pi over 3, that means you will turn all the way to here, right? Then that will be more than a pi. Our domain should be, we want it to be less than pi. Oops, I erased it. So look at the circle that we drew here, that I drew there, right? The purple line. You want to go up, right? Go counterclockwise to pi, and then go down, clockwise to pi, to negative pi. So if you go up, it will be this one. That's the pi over 3. If you go down, that's the second angle we want to find.
Negative pi over 3.
Yeah, so there will be, the other one will be negative pi over 3, okay? If they say the domain is 0 to 2 pi, then you are correct, okay? There will be 5 pi over 3, that will be the second angle. But because the domain tells you where to search for the angles. Does anyone have questions? Okay, because the reference angle has pi 3, right? Reference angle as pi over 3. So that means each side you have 3 slices. Okay, each half circle you have 3 slices. So the first angle is going up, the other one is going down. Okay, so a pi over 3 on the top part and negative pi over 3 on the bottom part. Anyone has trouble with the first half of the question? Okay, so please complete the rest. All right, do the right hand side for the negative side. So once you've done that, you can raise your hand. I think we should box the whole thing together, right? They're all together as an answer. Quadrant 2, quadrant 3, 2 here, quadrant 3 here. Reference angle is the same, okay? So of course you could draw the 2 pictures together at the same time, okay? Here I just separated, so it's more clearer, right? It's clearer to see what's happening. But once you're very good at it, right, you do both sides at the same time on the same picture. Okay, please raise your hand if you have the second part of the answer. So pi, right, up to pi, then you have this one, okay? And then the other answer, you should go the other way, okay? Because we're looking for anything between negative pi to pi. Most of the time, the domain will be just a regular one, like 0 to 2 pi, okay? I would say like 85% of the questions is 0 to 2 pi. I still need to know if the domain changed, right? What do you do? Okay, Nick, what's the answer for this one?
2 pi over 3.
Yeah, 2 pi over 3. And the other one?
Negative 2 pi over 3.
Very good. Okay. Okay, is there anyone that's confused why we got these 4? Let me know. Count the slices, okay? 3 slices because it's pi over 3 each one. Okay, so you go pi over 3, 2 pi over 3, that's first answer. Negative pi over 3, negative 2 pi over 3. So that's the second answer. Okay, you just count the pizza. Please do not change the degree and then change back to radian, okay? Wasting too much time. You got to get used to the pizza idea now. Anyone has questions? Okay, can you raise your hand if you got all the notes down? Okay, we're gonna talk about second method now, right? So first one, it shouldn't be a new thing, okay? I guess the only new thing is the domain, right? Domain is different. But we've been doing finding angles before. Okay, method 2, factor or quadratic formula. So we'll use it, of course, when you cannot isolate, right? Or when the question is factorable, okay? There's something you can factor. If it's not factorable, you can still use quadratic formula. Okay, quadratic formula is the one with negative b plus minus, right? B squared minus 4ac over 2a. Okay, this one. So you always think about isolate, okay, before you try other ones. So if there's more than one variable, then you think about this. Okay, so let's look at question C. Question C, right? We already mentioned that you cannot isolate, okay? So what you can think right now is pretend our variable, the sign x, is a single letter, right? So for a, let's say sign x is a squared, right? Plus 2a minus 2 equal to 0, right? You pretend the question like this. So the sign x is the a. Okay, if I replace the sign x with a, then the equation look like this. This is called a quadratic equation. Okay, for quadratic equation, usually we try to factor if possible, right? If it's not factorable, we use the formula. Okay. So how do we factor this one? What can we do to factor? Danny? Daniel, how do we factor this one?
You factor out a 2 first.
Very good, the GCF. Okay, so if we take out the 2, what's left? Daniel?
2a squared plus a minus 1.
Yeah, minus 1 equals 0. Okay, and then after this, can I factor more? Chris? Can we factor further so that it breaks down into 2 more brackets? No, I cannot hear you, Chris. Okay, how about I let everyone try it, okay? So try to factor the bracket, okay? Raise your hand if you found the 2 brackets after that. This one should be factorable, okay? So anyone who has factored it, please raise your hand. Okay, so Waylon, what's inside the bracket?
2a minus 1 and a plus 1.
Okay, let's double check. Angela, how about you?
I have the same thing.
Same thing, okay. So from here, we can solve for a, right? If you remember from quadratic equation, you make each bracket equal to 0, right? 2a minus 1 equal to 0, and then a plus 1 equals to 0, and then you can find the a. Okay, let's draw a line. There. After you factor, then you break down into small equations, okay, instead of a quadratic equations. So find the a, then Philip, what's the a value?
Half,
Half, and the other one?
-1.
-1. Okay, so once you got here, you sort of found the answer for a, right? But that's not the final answer. So the point here is this one is not possible to isolate, right? We couldn't use method 1, so we factored it, so then it become possible, right? We can find the a. So our goal is still try to find the variable, right? But remember at the beginning, we let a to represent sine x. So we got to replace it back. So our actual question now has become sine x equal to half and sine x equal to -half. Okay. So it kind of like question B now, right? That cosine x equal half, cosine x equal -half. You have two parts. Same with this one. Once you factored it, it breaks down into two little questions. And then from here, you just do your step 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. So I'll let you carry out the rest. List out your answers. So you should get a total of some answers. I won't tell you how many because this one is a bit special, right? You have a -1 there. So I don't know how many of you remember how to deal with -1. Okay, but give it a try. Okay. So list out all the answers in the box. Okay, you can raise your hand if you found all the x. Okay, we only have one person done. Should have enough time for it. Sine x equal half. Right, it's kind of similar to question A, right? Question A has negative half. This is positive half. Okay, Angela, can you tell us the quadrant? Which quadrant is sine x equal half?
Quadrant 1 and 2.
Yep, 1 and 2. Okay, so let me draw it out. Quadrant 1, quadrant 2. Opposite hypotenuse, right? Opposite hypotenuse. Evan, what's the reference? Hmm?
Pi over 6.
Oh, pi over 6, that's right. Okay. This one, the domain is a regular one. Okay, 0 to 2 pi. So you just go here, there, right? That's the answer. Okay, Jenny, do you have the answer for the left side?
No, not yet.
Yeah, okay, let me know when you found it.
I'm not sure how to do it.
Did you get a reference angle pi over 6?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure what to do after that.
Yeah.
If it's pi over 6, if it's over 6, that means you need to cut the pizza into how many slices?
6.
Yeah, so you cut it into 6 part, right? Like that. Okay, and then the other part is also 6 slices. Each slice is pi over 6. Okay?
Yep.
So the first angle is this one. How big is that?
Pi over 6.
Yeah, that's in the first quadrant, okay? The next one, it goes to the second quadrant. How big is that?
5 over 6.
Hmm?
5 pi over 6.
Yeah, 5 over 6. That's how you find it. Okay, you look at the reference angle, you look at which quadrant the angles are. Okay,
Okay. Thank you.
yeah. So we have pi over 6, 5 pi over 6. Okay, now the sine x equal to -1. Marcus, do you know how to get the angle for that one? Sine x equal to -1.
Wait, isn't it just like on the on the thing like 90?
That's right, on the axis. Very good. Okay. So what angle will give you -1 for sine?
Isn't it 270
In
degrees?
radian, please.
Oh, not. I forgot it. Isn't it 3 pi over 2?
Very good. Very good. Okay. Because 90 is pi over 2, right? Pi over 2, 2 pi over 2, 3 pi over 2. Okay. You have 3 90s. Okay. For sine is 1 and -1, right? 0, 0. Right. With this picture, you can remember at least for a year, right? Okay. So we want 3 pi over 2. Okay. So this is for this one, right? Because you have 0 to 2 pi. If they change the domain, of course, the answer will be different. Okay, let's do another one here on the right side. Okay, so this one, what you can do is to think as two variables here, right? Because you have a mix of sine and cosine. So sine x, you can think of it as A, like before. Right? And then cosine, you can think of it as B. Okay, so before I forget, let's write that down. Sine x is A, cosine x is b. So you have a mix of a and b. Of course, we cannot isolate, right? We talked about that. So you try to factor it. But this is not quadratic, right? There's no square. We cannot factor that before, right? So how do we factor this one? Anyone has a suggestion? A minus 2ab. What can we factor? Anybody? Yeah, Susan?
You can factor in A.
Yeah, factor out a, right? This is a common factor, just like we factored out the 2, right? Here we factored out a variable. You take out the a, let me write it, right? GCF. Then what is left then? Lily, what's left if I take out the a?
1 minus 2b.
Yes, very good. Okay, so it's kind of similar what we did there, right? We factor out the a, we factor out the 2, and then we break it down into 2 more brackets. So since we have 2 brackets, we can do what we just did. We split. One side is when a equal to 0. The other one is when 1 minus 2b equal to 0. You solve for b. Okay. So same thing, I'm gonna let you carry on. And then you put the sine cosine back, okay, on the x. Okay, so it's okay if you even you have 2 different variable, okay? You do the same thing, still belongs to factoring. Okay, so please raise your hand when you finish this question. If you're stuck, let me know. This one also has a special place, right? Because you got a 0, right? You have a 0 here. Okay, please raise your hand if you got the answer for this one. Let's check the value for b, okay? What does b equal to? Okay, Waylon, what's b equal?
-half.
-half, are you sure?
Wait, let me check.
Isolate b.
Oh wait, my bad. 1/2.
Yeah, so positive half, okay? So on the left side, you have sine x equal to 0. On the right side, you have cosine x equal to half, okay? And then you carry out the 4 steps. For the 0, right, sine x equal to 0, it's a special place on the axis. Okay, sine x equal to 0. Okay, Eric, where is sine x become 0?
At 0 degrees and 180 degrees. So 0 and also pi.
Okay, 0 and pi. So 0, 0, 1, -1, right? So 0 and pi. Here and here. Cosine half, I think we did that before, right? Cosine half, do we have cosine half? Cosine half is right up here, right? Picture's there, but domain is different. Okay, please raise your hand if you have the answer. Same place, right? Quadrant 1 and 4. Domain is 0 to 2 pi. Okay, it's a regular one. Okay, Jenny, did you find the reference angle for this? Jenny? Yeah, okay. All right, so work on the right hand side now, okay? All right, Angela, what's the reference angle for the cosine x equal half?
Pi over 3.
Over 3, very good. Okay, so that means here is pi over 3, there is also pi over 3, all right? So Jenny, I'll let you try this one, right? We have references pi over 3, and we want to find this one and this one, okay? The two angle, all right? So let me know when you found it.
Is it 5 pi over 3 and pi over 3?
Very good, okay, you got it. So first one, pi over 3, 5 pi over 3. Okay, so as you can see, the number of answers could be 2 answers, could be 4 answers, could be 3 answers, right? It also depends on the domain. Okay, we'll stop here. So your homework will be something to do with this. On top of that, please memorize the identity that we covered today. Okay, the square identity, quotient identity, because we will need that for our next lesson. All right, and I'm still missing homework from who you are. You know who you are. Okay, so please stay after class. Okay, and I'll see you next week. All right, have a good weekend. Bye,
Thanks,
everyone.
Jason. Bye.
Bye.
Hi, Jason.
Bye.